Hello everyone and welcome to the return of the top 10 countdown in the Sonicphoto channel. It's been 10 years since I started this top 10 countdown way back with a top 10 countdown of Sonic games. Now, 10 years later, how about we go back and look what are my top 10 Sonic games. Now keep in mind this is my personal opinion on my favorite Sonic games, but I want to hear your opinion as well. So let me know in the comments what are your top 10 favorite Sonic games so we can talk and share. So without further ado, let's begin. Number 10. Sonic Unleashed. Sonic Unleashed once again remains on the number 10. This is good news because there's been quite a few Sonic games that have come out of the list, but Sonic Unleashed remains on the number 10 spot. And I recently went back to it and the Sonic daytime stages still hold up really well. Not just from a gameplay standpoint, but from a visual presentation standpoint. Perfectly captured that amazing sense of speed from Sonic. It was the very start of the speed boost formula for Sonic, where you can actually tell Sonic to go faster. And Sonic Unleashed is still the best game personally that really captures that sense of we are really going fast. So for that alone, I think this game is a staple that still remains on top 10 countdown. Now the reason that it doesn't go higher than other Sonic games is because, well, the Hedgehog is still a bit of a hit and miss gameplay portion of the game. That's not to say the Hedgehog stages are bad, but the way the game is designed, it makes you play more of those Hedgehog stages at times before getting to the really good stuff with Sonic. And that's ultimately what hinders the game. Still, Sonic Unleashed has amazing production values that still hold up really well, and even the graphics still look pretty damn good still. Number 9. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I think something that's really interesting about a lot of Sonic games is that there's always something new, something stable that changes everything forever in the Sonic formula. In this case, it was the introduction of Knuckles into the game. Knuckles has become a movie sensation to the point of having his own TV show now. And it all started with this game, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, where it continues the amazing quality of the Sega Genesis titles, but it pushes even further the 2D graphic style of the time, much more color, much more visual effects, much more complex level design, and overall it's a perfect way to finish the trilogy of the Sega Genesis titles. But yes, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is still a classic and will remain a classic. Number 8. Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Of course, there's no countdown of Sonic without Sonic the Hedgehog 1, the very first Sega Genesis titles that introduced us to Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, do I really even have to tell you more reasons? This is the game that started everything, and I think it still holds up pretty well. Some of the stages may not be as iconic as some of the stages in the other Genesis titles, but the Green Hill Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog 1 is the most classic of all the Green Hills. There's just no doubt about that. Sonic the Hedgehog 1 is still classic, and it's amazing to still go out there and see how it all began. Number 7. Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes is a game that really pushes further the roster of characters that Sonic has created throughout all the years. But Sonic Heroes was the first time where Sonic's friends were not more of a side quest story or of a side content. Sonic is now working together with his teammates. In this case, for Team Sonic was Tails and Knuckles are now working together on every single stage. That's not everything though. You get to play as Shadow with Rouge and Omega, which Omega was introduced in this game and a really cool character that's a fan favorite now. We also had the return of Team Chaotix with Espio, Charmy, and Vector, and Team Rose with the iconic masterpiece that is Big the Cat, Amy Rose, and Cream the Rabbit. It was truly an amazing roster of characters that were brought together in some really fun stages. I think Sonic Heroes has a lot of stages that are some of my favorites of all time. Like the Casino Zone, I think is really cool how we're these bingo machines, pinball machines. The soundtrack, of course, is iconic. The cinematics were impressive. Now, the reason I don't put this game higher on the list is because, unfortunately, all of the 4 different teams have the same stages. Still, it's really fun and exciting to be able to play them. Number 6. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 really pushed things further from the Genesis first title. It introduced us to Tails, which became an iconic sidekick for Sonic. On top of that, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has some of the most iconic classic levels, including Chemical Plant, which I think is really exciting, and it's one of those stages that really pushes a speed on Sonic. Now, the first game had a good sense of Sonic speed starting out, but Sonic 2 really shows us how fast Sonic can go. Then you have other classics like the Casino Night Zone, where we got to really interact more with the whole pinball side of Sonic. A lot of these iconic stages would eventually return in other Sonic titles that we're going to have eventually in our top 10 countdown, so stay tuned for those. Number 5. Sonic CD. Sonic CD is one of my favorites, where I think Sonic CD is the most easiest one of the 2D games to get into. I feel like it captures a great sense of speed and variety with the time traveling elements that Sonic CD introduces. Travel to a past timeline of that very level or the future timeline of that very level. I think it's an incredible mechanic where the stage is always changing. That's the strong element of Sonic CD, where it really pushes the envelope of really playing with the level design more than anything. It also introduces again to iconic characters that are actually going to be part of the upcoming Sonic film, Amy Rose and Metal Sonic. The Metal Sonic introduction was very exciting and a fun element into Sonic CD, where it was essentially the first time that you were racing against an enemy. Again, it's a new gameplay element, and that's what Sonic CD does best. Sonic CD is one of the more easier entries to get into when in comparison to the other Genesis titles, where I think the platforming is a bit more challenging. But that's to me personally. Number 4. Sonic Adventure. There's no top 10 countdown without Sonic Adventure titles on it, and the first Sonic Adventure is no exception to that. It was the first proper debut for Sonic in the 3D realm. It's not the first time we had 3D Blast and other Sonic 3D titles, but the more proper introduction into the realm of Sonic 3D was Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure really has some truly iconic levels. I love a ton of the Sonic levels in this game. From Twinkle Park, the iconic Speed Highway, the Sky Deck, and one of my personal favorite Sonic levels that I think it's underrated is Lost World. Before it became a whole game, we're talking about this Lost World level where you're uncovering and going through the ruins of Chaos, and you get to see all these designs of Chaos in the walls. But the other big element to me for the Sonic Adventure games is the introduction of storytelling. Sonic is no longer silent, the characters are talking. The amazing scale of the story that we're doing here, a story that could destroy the world with Chaos, the secrets of the path of Chaos, the Echidna, all of those elements are put together into the story of Sonic Adventure. Not only that, but Sonic Adventure also lets you play as other characters with their own unique stories. Sonic Adventure is definitely a classic, and I still recommend it. Some people say it hasn't aged well or not. I think it still ages pretty well. It has some rough spots here and there, but I still think it's an exciting, fun game, and I just love going back to his stages. Number 3. Sonic Mania. We were not expecting to go back to the feeling of the Sonic Genesis titles, let alone to actually see it work and be fun. As previous attempts, we had Sonic 4, which was hit and miss with players, but Sonic Mania truly celebrates Sonic's Genesis era. Whereas Sonic Generations feels like a celebration of 3D Sonic, Sonic Mania really feels like a celebration of 2D Sonic. But not only that, but it also brings us brand new levels, and it shows that we can still have Sonic Genesis games with some really cool new level designs on them. It has the perfect balance of bringing back the classic Sonic Genesis stages like Chemical Plant, but giving some really fun twists that really pushes these stages into a new dimension. I love every single twist that they added into these zones. Not only that, I love the new zones as well. Studiopolis is amazing. As a film buff that I love the aesthetic of film, I love Studiopolis. Other really great new stages are Mirage Saloon Zone. Truly, if there's a Sonic 2D Genesis style game that I would recommend is Sonic Mania. Number 2. Sonic X Shadow Generations. The first Sonic Generations was amazing. It brought in the classic Sonic turning to 3D, mixed in with Sonic 3D Modern with the same Sonic style from the Sonic Unleashed introduction, where you have the speed boost formula. So we had the ability to play iconic classic stages of Sonic in the new 3D realm, not only by just playing as modern Sonic, but the classic Sonic. So you have these two characters of Sonic interact with each other also in the story. That was really cool. It's an amazing, perfect celebration of Sonic's trajectory. However, Sega and Sonic Team realized how special this game was that they brought it back, but this time with a shadow new game installed inside Sonic Generations. A brand new shadow story that brings back another set of iconic classic Sonic stages. And oh boy, let me tell you, these shadow levels are amazingly designed. I had not played levels like this that I felt amazing rush, perfect platforming, perfect speed since the days of the Sonic Adventure era. The new shadow levels really capture that magic I feel from the Sonic Adventure times, and it brings me so much hope and excitement to see that come true in future Sonic titles. Truly, I love every single shadow stage in Sonic X Shadow Generations. An ultimate thing I would recommend to anyone who's starting to play Sonic or wants to try out Sonic, or is a Sonic fan from ages ago and wants to go back to Sonic. Sonic X Shadow Generations is a celebration you cannot miss and check out right now. Number 1. Sonic Adventure 2. I don't even know where to start. Sonic Adventure 2 changed my life. It's the reason I called myself Sonicphoto on YouTube. It was my very first Sonic game back on the Nintendo GameCube, where I thought Sonic wasn't cool because I was on the Mario side playing on Nintendo, and then I checked him out on the GameCube and was like, whoa! Sonic Adventure 2 just changed everything. The speed momentum when I played that Sonic stage for the first time was like, whoa, this is really fun. Getting to meet Shadow the Hedgehog as well, his levels were also really cool. And then before this game, I used to skip cutscenes in games. I wouldn't care for them, I wouldn't listen to them. But then one day, I'm playing Sonic Adventure 2 and said, you know what, I'm not gonna skip the cutscene, let me leave it there. And then I see Sonic coming out of that helicopter and has all this cool banter and stuff, and I'm like, whoa. And then I just kept playing and playing without skipping the cutscenes. I was like, whoa, this is a very deep story. There's a lot going on here. There's a development of these characters. There's this end of the world maybe story. There's an emotional story behind Shadow the Hedgehog. He's just not there to be the bad guy or anything. He has a story going on here. Not even mentioning the roster of characters. I loved every single one of them. Getting to play as Knuckles, Tails, Dr. Eggman himself. That was my other exciting thing. I get to see why are these characters doing this, how did these characters get there, and each level is unique no matter if we're telling the same bit of story. And that was just really exciting to me. And this game was really the definitive game where I said this has to become a movie someday if they ever tell Sonic's story in a movie. And we finally got it. They took their liberties with it, but it's still a very fun movie. And I cannot end this without mentioning Rouge the Bad, an iconic queen. I was in love with her character as well. The fact that she was all this time a government spy trying to investigate Shadow, trying to investigate Eggman's plan, that was so cool to me. I was like, whoa, there's so much going on in this game, these characters. But yeah, it changed everything for me. It's still a classic and will remain a classic. That's it for the top 10 Sonic games. Let me know in the comments below, what is your top 10 countdown? I'm very curious, what are your top 10s? See you next time.